So in 2005, I joined the Army. I went to Iraq for 15 months in an area called the Triangle of Death. Lost a lot of friends. When I got back from Iraq, I changed duty stations to Fort Lewis, Washington, and from there I went to Afghanistan for a year. From the time we got there, it was pretty much game on with coordinated ambushes, with a lot of snipers in the area. I don't have words to describe how challenging it was dealing with that level of contact. You know, getting shot at every single time you walk out. And it's not one or two guys shooting at you, it's an entire village lined up in the corridor where you're walking, trying to decisively overwhelm you and overrun you.
I felt kind of sick because it became normal. You know, death and blood and guts and killing. It bothered me, it bothered everyone. But we put it to the side. Maybe we sit up and talk or cry about it at night, but we all knew we had a job to do. We were in a red zone, my camp was, so we would take on mortars and RPGs randomly 4 or 5 times a week. It was a rocket-propelled grenade that hit about 10, 15 feet away from me. The blast blew me into the concrete bunker that I was running for. It blew me head and back first. I felt it was true. Your whole life does flash before your eyes. And I'm like, I'm only 19. I've done nothing. I'm just now starting to live. This can't be it. Everything was just in slow motion. I wanted to be a soldier, but I just wanted to delete everything I had just seen and done.
When I was 24, I joined the Marine Corps to become a combat engineer. Where we were at, it was finding IEDs at a minimum of one a day, and then firefights pretty much every day or every other day. We realized that it wasn't a question of like if we were gonna get hit, but more of a question of when. By the time I got hit, 3 months after getting in the country, that's whenever I had to make the decision to amputate my arm. I'm no longer gonna be in the Marine Corps, and then figure out where my life is gonna take me next.
I want people to understand that not all injuries are visible. They are emotional, and these are the injuries that are really hard to, number one, detect, but number two, to help them work through and get better.
I had been diagnosed with PTSD while I was in the Army, and once you start not sleeping, it makes it next to impossible for your brain to function on even a normal level for someone with PTSD, and it gets to the point where it's really unmanageable for a lot of people. For me, it wasn't so much that I didn't like talking to other people, it's that when I did, I would notice they were terrified of me. And seeing people react that way to me really was disheartening, because I'd always been, pretty outgoing, a lot of fun to be around, life of the party kind of guy. To be able to come back and lose that very basic and fundamental part of my personality, that was what I struggled with the most. My story is indicative of a lot of people who either aren't around to tell you their story anymore, or are too ashamed to tell you their story, or need help in order to have at any point for their story to get good again. A lot of people think joining is the hardest part, or going to combat is the hardest part. The transition afterwards is by far the hardest part.
It's hard to live that life. You have to immerse yourself in war and then just snap your fingers and you're back. My mother turned her back on me. She said I was scaring my little sister. I wouldn't sleep. When I would sleep, I'd have night terrors. I'd wake up screaming or telling people to get down. And at one point I was having hallucinations, constantly getting up 1, 2 in the morning, checking windows and doors. I used to drink till I black out because I didn't want to dream of the horrible things I had just seen and done. I reached the point where I said, I can't do this anymore.
Honestly, the dark side of post-traumatic stress is the risk of suicide. You continue to isolate. You're struggling with depression. You think nobody's going to understand. You saw something that nobody should ever have to see. I am so excited about the Clinton Cox residence because it gives women a safe place to be able to come and even just be able to sleep at night. Whether it be combat, military sexual trauma, or even childhood trauma, this is where they need to be to have that healing.
Once they figure out the fires that they've walked through, once they start that healing, we want them to immediately understand that we have whatever it takes for them to build a new future, to build a new career, to have a purpose in life.
The first thing I thought was like, where was this when I needed it? I needed this a few years ago. Like, this would have been wonderful for me. This would have been life-changing. I wouldn't have had to struggle as much as I did and so bad. I would have had people that understood and able to be around like-minded people, other sister veterans. I will do anything to help out because this is something very, very close to my heart.
I might look like I'm kind of put together right now. I mean, a lot of that has to do with the Freedom Station and the ladies that run Freedom Station.
Our philosophy here at Freedom Station is very different in that what they need more than anything is just time to become a Mr. or a Mrs., not be a Lance Corporal. So it can be anything from getting them a job to finding, if they're 100% disabled, finding a way to create purpose, which then, once you give them purpose, gives them dignity.
Being at the Freedom Station actually allowed me to bridge that gap. It allowed me to talk out some of my story and relive it, so I'm not suppressing it and I actually can move on. If you're having a bad night, 20 feet away is one of your buddies. You can go bang on the door and they'll wake up and they'll sit there and talk to you.
We have 22 veterans that commit suicide every single day. We can prevent that.
The Blue Angel Foundation has my heartfelt gratitude for everything that they have done for our warriors. Without your support, our warriors would have a very different quality of life.
The good news is there is hope. There's hope for those that are struggling with PTSD. There are treatment modalities such as EMDR and others in the pipeline that are going to help them recover, that are going to help them heal, and that are going to help them be free from the affliction of PTSD.
And immediately after the first session, laid down in the bed and I slept straight for 9, almost 10 hours. I woke up refreshed and I actually felt good for the first time in years. I did 3 more sessions in the 2 days following the first session, and I haven't had any treatment since. Today, things look probably better than they ever have in my life. It's been a huge turnaround and a huge change for me. Now I have a full-time job. I'm reliable, responsible, and respectable. I just had a kid. He's awesome. I love that kid. He's the coolest human being on the face of the earth.
My daughter is soon to be 8 years old, and she knows Mommy was a soldier. She knows about veterans. It's given me a new breath to try harder, and she keeps me going. She does. She's a big motivator in my life.
I moved out of Freedom Station, bought a house out in Spring Valley, which is good because here in a couple months I will be getting married. I'm currently training, trying to get on the U.S. Paralympic snowboard team. Hopefully go to South Korea in March. I'd like to say thank you from the bottom of my heart because, I mean, it means so much to me. I know it means a lot to a whole bunch of other people too, you know, especially the guys at the hospital and the ones that lived here at the Freedom Station.
I know how hard it is to be on rock bottom and feel like you have nothing and no one. And I don't want anyone to ever have that feeling. I will do what I can to make sure that they don't have that feeling. They can have the resources or opportunities or just a hug if they need it.
I know of no more worthy cause than of the charities this organization supports. The philanthropic legacy that you're leaving is something that you should all be very proud of. And it's something I'm very proud to be a part of, and it's one of the great privileges of my life.